This year, the United States of America will celebrate its 250th birthday, and that's quite a milestone. But will a majority of our fellow citizens understand what we're really celebrating and the ideas that helped give this nation birth in the first place? Recently, for a very short interview, I had the privilege to sit down with Gary Bauer of Our American Values, a former leader in the Reagan administration, who went on to help put the Family Research Council in Washington, D.C. on the map. We asked him about America at 250 and also about the nagging resurgence of Marxism, even in our own nation at present.
We're at an incredible moment in American history. You know, the founders, even when they founded the country, weren't completely sure that we would be able to maintain it. There's the famous story about Benjamin Franklin being asked by a woman, "What did you give us?" And he said, "A republic, if you can keep it." So this anniversary means so much. The problem is we're approaching this anniversary, unlike some of the other milestones, with great confusion among Americans generally and our children particularly on whether this was an experiment that was worth it. This is a national tragedy. This is one of the most important countries in the history of the world. So my hope for the 250th anniversary is that we not only celebrate, but we find out a way to reconnect America's youth to the heart and soul of America.
We asked Gary Bauer if he could name one square inch on the planet where communism has actually worked.
It's ironic that we have in our own country, in our own schools, in our own culture, people that promote communism, socialism, Marxism, all different kinds of names. It's never worked anywhere. In fact, it not only doesn't work, it results in a level of death and destruction that should make it radioactive. We have this problem. It comes up for reasons that psychologists will have to explain, that free men and women throughout history keep forgetting about past horrors and often have to go through it again before they're reminded that the only thing that works is ordered liberty under God.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the day we put aside to remember fallen heroes and to pray that no heroes will ever have to die for us again.
Ronald Reagan once said, in effect, that there have been revolutions before ours, and there will be other revolutions beyond ours. But ours didn't just simply exchange one set of rulers for another. We changed the concept of government itself. Gary Bauer used to work in the Reagan administration.
I had the great blessing and privilege of working for Ronald Reagan for 8 years, and it was an unlikely thing to happen. My father was a janitor. Nobody in our family had ever finished high school. One day in my living room, I looked at my dad. I was still in high school, and I said, "Dad, this movie actor that we just heard on TV talking about Barry Goldwater's not going to win, but I bet that movie actor ends up being president of the United States someday, and I'm going to work for him in the White House." My father looked at me and said, "Gary, you're nuts." Well, my dad was able to visit me in my West Wing office just a few years before he passed away, and we reflected back on that day, that night in our living room. One of the things that attracted me to Reagan was he understood the incredible rareness of an experiment like America.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said if we lose that war, and in so doing lose this way of freedom of ours, history will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening. Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers.
He talked about America and its role in the world and its responsibility in a way that I had never heard before. I will never forget that when Ronald Reagan was done with 8 years that accomplished a lot, including the fall of the Soviet Union, like many presidents, he did a farewell address. And in that farewell address, he said what his major worry was, that the rising generation in America would not have the same experience he did. They wouldn't see the veterans from World War II in their neighborhood without an arm or a leg. Maybe they wouldn't get in school what he got in school. So in his farewell address, he talked to the parents of America, and he said, you've got to teach it at the table, the kitchen table. Otherwise, the rising generation may be the last generation that's free.
President Reagan once said that America is one nation under God, but if we ever forget that, we will be one nation gone under.
With all the headlines, all the troubles, all the disasters, the violence we've seen in recent years, there's a lot to be sad about, a lot to be nervous about. But one of the most frequent commands in the Bible is fear not. I spoke at the memorial service for Dr. James Dobson, and one of the things that was highlighted over and over again at that memorial service is that this is the time for all of us boldly to step up and defend faith, family, and freedom. I see signs of renewal. I see signs of revival. I see signs that young people are moving back to God and the Bible. I think our best days can still be ahead, but it's going to take the church in America and believers in Jesus Christ being willing to fight the good fight for faith, family, and freedom.
We've just been listening to Gary Bauer of Our American Values, which is based in the Washington, D.C. area. Gary Bauer, who has collaborated in the past with the late Dr. James Dobson, even ran for president about 2.5 decades ago. Each Monday through Friday, Gary Bauer writes a very informative article, which he calls his end-of-day report. I find it to be virtually required reading, and it's free at ouramericanvalues.org. Gary Bauer wisely bangs the drum on the great need we have in modern America for revival. For Providence Forum, a division of Coral Ridge Ministries, I'm Dr. Jerry Newcomb.